Good evening, and thank you for joining us for the scandal. I need to start rehearsing how we do these intros, and you think my impromptu speaking would be wonderful, and I know what we're doing. This is the Scandalous Scandal Recap. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for season 4, episode 15. I got that right this time.
Yes,
For
you
of
did.
Scandal, the testimony of oh man, drawing a blank again. The testimony of Diego Munoz. What is wrong with me, Janaya? I'm Larry.
LBJ,
This is Janaya.
I don't know the answer to what's wrong with you, but I really would like for you to get it resolved just ASAP.
Like quick,
So,
quick, fast, and in a hurry. Like I might need some coaching or something. I might need somebody back in the background. Like, here's your cue card. Here's what you need to say. Here's what you need to
exactly.
do. I'm so
Exactly.
excited to be here tonight. Thank you all for joining us. If you're watching us live via YouTube, welcome. If this is your first time watching the Scandal Recap, which for some of you, I know this is your first time watching. So thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching via Google Plus, remember you can always post questions and comments right there in the left of the panel, on the right of the panel in the Q&A, and we bring up your questions and comments throughout our conversation to talk about what you want to talk about in the Scandalous Scandal Recap. Janaya, what did you think about tonight's episode?
LBJ, it was everything. It really truly was. I feel like there's so many pieces that have just been out there that we've wanted some follow up on. And I think this episode was really a cleanup episode. It was, let's really get some progress on all of those storylines that are just sitting out there needing some attention. LBJ, I loved it. What did you think of tonight's show?
Tonight's show, Janaya, was like I agree with you. Tonight's show totally like answered questions that we wanted
Yes.
answered. Tonight's show also gave us some insight into who some of these people are, so we can grow to know and love some of these characters again. And one of the characters I am growing to love is the character we met earlier this season when Olivia helped her run her campaign, and that is the new vice president of the United States of America on Scandal, and that's Susan Ross. Susan
Yes.
Ross tonight out the gate. We met Susan Ross at the press conference announcing her appointments to the role of the vice president from Fitz. And I thought it was awesome how Gabby, Abby Red, and Leo got together and coached her and briefed her and prepped her for this moment to really shine before America. And this woman completely loses her stuff with like a smart laugh, the giggle. It was so good, and it was so like
Yes.
she played it like really organic. So I believe that this is how she really is, and I just love her. It made me fall in love with her character immediately. What about you?
LBJ, I will tell you, they have done an amazing job of giving us a character to just fall in love with. I mean, we fall in love with her because she is just so horrible at being a politician. I mean, she's literally the absolute worst. But it's endearing because that makes her seem so genuine as a person. And I will just say that is a perfect offset for Fitz, who may as well just be, someone off of an assembly line in terms of who he is when he's in his role as president. So I am loving her. I'm loving that she just seems so genuine in everything that she's saying. And LBJ, when the PR guy, when Leo was challenging her, LBJ, to take on a persona, right? When he was literally trying to force down her throat the candidate that he thought would be acceptable, she rejected it, LBJ. She literally said, you know what? If I have to be this phony in order to get elected, I don't want it. I don't
Yeah.
want to be in office. If this is what the job requires, I don't want it, LBJ.
Yeah, she said that she would quit. She said, "You go back and you tell the president I quit. I don't want this." And so Gabby Abby Red is just like, "Oh man, what's gonna
Yes.
happen?" And Leo's just like, "No, no, no." By the way, this guy is gosh, I know someone knows. I know Candace knows this guy's name because we actually ran into him in a restaurant in L.A. One time we were having like breakfast and he was there, and Candace remembers him from Private Practice, so he's a favorite within Shondaland because now this guy is doing Scandal. He's gonna done some other stuff. However, it was just like it's all hope lost at this moment for Susan Ross. I'm like, we cannot get connected to this woman so fast in this one episode that this is going to be the end of her appearing in the episodes. And lo and behold, it was not. Susan Ross she ended up being confirmed as the
Right.
vice president of the United States of America. Dr. Hill 2014 is in the hangout with us tonight. Dr. Hill 2014, thank you
Hey,
for
Dr.
joining us.
Hill, 2014.
And Dr. Hill 2014 says Susan Ross is a beast.
Yeah.
Hashtag Mama did not raise a fool. She didn't. Mama did
She
not raise a
really
fool.
didn't.
Here's the thing. Mama is not raising a fool. Aside from Susan Ross, you know who else I love? I love baby daughter Ross. I love that little girl. From the moment, remember they did the
Yes.
campaign because she couldn't get it together in her campaign the first go round. Remember, and so what ended
Hmm.
up happening is they used her daughter to generate the campaign video when she ran for office on Olivia's first prep. Do you remember that?
Yes, indeed, LBJ. And we fell in love with that little daughter way back then, several episodes ago. LBJ, I'm so happy that you're bringing up the fact that we met Susan Ross and that Olivia was a huge part of why she was Olivia was the reason Susan Ross is even in office, LBJ. I have
Absolutely.
to be honest with you, I forgot that. And I had some friends that I was just kind of debriefing the show with over the last few days who said, Janiyah, Susan Ross, we've seen her before. LBJ, I feel like Shonda has really set us up for a later conversation about allegiance, right? We already know that, Susan Ross is really pretending to some degree to be a little bit more dumb than she actually is. She's really angling, she's really playing that part. She's really playing I'm super naive, right? But LBJ, we already know that she is actually, as Dr. Hill 2014 said, a beast, LBJ. And now she has a prior allegiance with Olivia. Later down the line, LBJ, if Melly tries to run against Susan, where will Olivia fall in that race? Who will she support? Question mark.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a question mark because at that point Olivia could get her house in Vermont and put things on. She can put things on Susan Ross, and she can go forward if that was an interest of Olivia Pope. I don't know. You tell me. But we saw the Susan Ross story unfold tonight. And we saw her confirmed as the vice president by the end of the episode. But in the midst of all of this, we also saw the return of Marla Gibbs. And Marla Gibbs returned to Scandal tonight as Rose, not Rose from 227, but she was married really on 227. But she returned as Rose, and she returned speaking to the black lady she was looking for earlier this season in the episode following Olivia's kidnapping, and she was looking for her best friend Lois. Out the gate, Dr. Hill 2014 is back, and she says, "I love the storyline with Rose and Lois." Can we just talk
So
about that?
good.
Like, were you expecting the twist in their relationship? Were we expecting what was revealed tonight between Rose and Lois?
Uh, LBJ, absolutely not. Completely blindsided, right? LBJ, let me just say this. I wondered what would happen when Lois's family started to realize that she was not around anymore, right? So I was waiting for a follow up on this storyline. A person, generally speaking, can't just disappear and no one follows up. We knew at some point Rose was going to come back looking for the black lady, right? LBJ, she found her tonight. She found Olivia. She connected. And you know what? She got the answer to her question, LBJ. It was, what happened to Lois? Olivia put her team directly on it in the form of Huck and, the waste, Quinn. And, and LBJ, she found Lois's body, LBJ, and she brought closure for Rose. But LBJ, this wasn't the closure of a best friend having been lost. LBJ, this was the closure of a soulmate being lost. It was so interesting, LBJ. I had a mouth agape moment when Olivia called her out and said, you seem to really be sharing your lives together pretty closely there, Rose. What was Lois to you, really, girlfriend? And I loved Rose's reaction to all of this. She said, you know what? 60 years ago, we fell in love. And when we told our parents we were in love, they didn't like it. They rejected it. And Lois went on to live her life, married a man, had children. And Rose waited for her, LBJ, for 40 years, LBJ. 40 years. Until they were much older. Their lives came back together, LBJ, and they were living their lives together.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. I loved it. Candace Brown is in the hangout with us tonight in the Q&A. Candace says she's with you, Janiyah. I did not think that Marla, who was Rose, I didn't think that Marla and Lois were lovers.
Lovers.
As yeah, she didn't know they were lovers, and I didn't know they were lovers either. I thought that it was just like something like my grandmother had best friends when she was with us when she was living,
Or
and
did she? Or did she?
right or did she? So like one of my
Everything's in
grandmothers,
question.
yeah, like my
Yeah.
grandmother's best friend now. We call her Aunt Ursula. We love
Mhm.
Aunt Ursula. Aunt Ursula came to my wedding, stood in the wedding as my grandmother. Like it was wonderful. It was wonderful. But I thought that was the relationship between Lois and Rose. But I just loved the fact that we saw her checking on her friend. And most great relationships are born out of friendship. And we
Sure.
saw them as friends, and then we later learned that there was more involved within the
Mhm.
friendship. They were indeed lovers.
And
And see,
LBJ,
what
I
I,
have
what I
to.
love, sure,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, LBJ.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say this was once again, though, Shonda using her platform to raise some larger questions. When Rose finally got in touch with Olivia, she detailed all she had been doing to try to figure out what happened with her friend, with her
Hmm.
lover, right?
Hmm.
She had gone to the police. LBJ, the police blew her off, right? This really happens, LBJ. People of a certain age get disregarded by our justice system. We talked last week about the fact that people of certain hues get disregarded by our justice system. Our justice system. Shonda tonight, and I think that Dr. Hill 2014 sums it up in the chat. Shonda at Cast keep taking it to the next level. LBJ, once again, she's raised another important issue that we have to talk about, LBJ, which is just ageism. Ageism,
Yeah,
LBJ.
yeah,
This woman was being disregarded. And don't forget that the first time we saw her get disregarded, it was by OPA associates, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
So LBJ, I mean, again, it's just Shonda using her platform to make us sing.
I'm telling you, all throughout, I make the prediction right here in the Scandal recap this season that we would
Mm-hmm.
begin to see more social commentary on the rise
You
with
did.
the dialogue and the scenes in Scandal. And here we are again. Like you presented ageism, you presented profiling, not racial profiling. Well,
Mm-hmm.
but ageism is profiling, and we see
Absolutely.
different narratives come through the storyline in Scandal that really should be applied and really should be considered in our everyday life, if we don't
Absolutely.
already observe these things. But can I just say that I love the fact that what made me kind of wonder what was really going on, and I thought this was awesome because they were two friends who became lovers. And she said to Olivia, because she could tell something was really fishy with Olivia, and she's like, look, lady, I know that something's going on. I know that she's
Mm.
gone. I know that something's not. I know something's wrong. I just want to know what happened to her for the closure. She said, I feel it. I feel
Mm.
that she's gone. And I think that great relationships, you can feel when there's a disconnect. You can feel where something is wrong.
Absolutely.
Whether it's
Absolutely.
between friends, whether it's between spouses, lovers, whatever it is, you can feel whether it's between siblings or parents and children. You can feel when there's a disconnect somewhere. And I thought that was a nice human touch that we saw
Absolutely.
in the episode tonight with the Rose and Lois story.
Absolutely.
And can I also say that I love the fact that Rose referred to Lois as Low. I was just like,
Yes.
oh, that was so nice that she called
LBJ,
her Rose. She kept
I
calling her Low.
loved that. I loved that, LBJ. And you talked about, this wonderful, wonderful note of this story, LBJ. We can't forget about Olivia's contribution here.
Oh my gosh.
She gave Rose a beautiful story of closure for Lois. LBJ, what Olivia was really detailing was the life that she wanted. Did you see
Go
that,
ahead. You
LBJ?
got it. You
As
got it.
she's telling the story, she's made up this fiction, LBJ, because we know what really happened to Lois. Lois was killed by Olivia's kidnappers. But LBJ, the story that she gave Rose to give her closure, to help her move toward peace of mind, she said Lois passed away peacefully. She didn't feel any pain. She was by the water. The sun was beating on her face. She created this beautiful picture. All the while, LBJ fantasizing about her life in the sun that she had, LBJ, that she walked away from and walked directly into the depths of despair. But that's another conversation. LBJ, I just thought it was so beautiful of Olivia to give Rose that closure. What do you think of that story?
Oh man, it was great. It was perfect.
So good.
It was prime Olivia Pope the fixer. She
Yes,
needs to
indeed.
give this woman a visual of her soulmate. and she already knew that Rose was not, in the place where she could really take. Your Lowe was shot in the chest, and they put Lowe's
Oh.
dead body on top of my body as I was being kidnapped and about to be sold into captivity to some terrorist in a different country. She couldn't
Mm.
tell her that. She couldn't tell her that. She couldn't tell her. I sat there with her while they bound and gagged your friend, and
Oh.
then they held me hostage in her apartment, and then took her away dead. She couldn't tell her that. So she used what she knew back here to really
Mm-hmm.
help propel this woman's feeling right here. Touched her on
Absolutely.
her heart. You can tell that it touched her on her heart. But can I just say, as an aside, I thought that Olivia Pope was living in a nice condo in like Upper Northwest Washington D.C. Olivia Pope is renting an apartment. Were you surprised by Olivia Pope renting an apartment in an episode? Did you catch that?
No, when was that revealed?
So it was revealed. It was revealed when they were when the I think the sheriff's department came to put like a notice on her door, and Rose was standing outside. This was while Olivia was looking through the peephole, trying to
Right.
figure out what was going on. And she
Right.
said something like, she's got 5 months after she's been notified to leave the apartment or something like that. And she referred to it as an apartment and something about paying rent. And I was like, Olivia's renting an apartment? I thought that was a condo. Why is she still there? Move. Like, go someplace
Right.
else and get someplace. Get something
Right.
else.
Right. Well, I will say, LBJ, there does come a point in life where you're so above it all because you're worth $2 billion that you're not worried about these pithy assets like home ownership. Who cares, LBJ? She probably owns multiple properties in multiple countries, and that'll be revealed to us in a later episode.
But while we're talking about Olivia, though, can we just talk about the fact that she's still dealing with PTSD from the
Yes.
kidnapping and that whole ordeal? I mean, we saw her at the top of the episode when we meet Olivia. She's like,
Mm-hmm.
she's at home like, I've been drinking, and she's got a wine bottle like sitting
What
on the
was she
floor.
doing? What was she doing, LBJ?
She was like, I've been drinking. That's what she did. That's what she was doing.
That's basically what she did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was turning up on the wine,
she
and
was.
Olivia the wino, and they called to check on her. She's like, come on, like I've been through a lot, and we acknowledge the fact that she's been through a lot. But I'm concerned about Olivia. I feel like Olivia needs to start speaking to someone to
Yes,
help her process what happened and to process these thoughts, because I think that she's going to borderline some torment if she doesn't get it out.
yes. And LBJ, you will recall I said that last week. When we were debriefing last week's episode, I mentioned that the thing that was missing for me was watching Olivia cope with all that had happened to her. Because we didn't really get to see it in the last episode. It was really an episode very focused on the case and on the issue. But LBJ, I saw what I needed to see, which is the reality of the fact that these are some scars that are going to take a while to heal for Olivia. And we watched her deal with that, LBJ. She's not only was she drinking, LBJ, she's carrying a gun around everywhere she goes within her apartment, LBJ. Now, you'll recall the first time we saw a gun in Olivia's hand, she was reluctant to touch the darn thing. Yeah, she kind of said, I've never shot a gun. I just couldn't possibly.
Hmm.
LBJ, now she is literally walking everywhere to and fro with this gun in her hand. LBJ, I don't know whether you caught it. There was one scene where her cell phone rang.
Yes.
And before she picked up the gun,
Hmm.
LBJ. Her entire sense of security has been shaken. And we watched her deal with that tonight. And I agree with you, LBJ. She does need to talk to someone. And it did occur to me that it's possible that we may see Rose again. The last line that we heard from Rose was her hovering over the casket of her love, her low, and saying, life won't be the same without you. I'm alone. I'm alone. Life won't be the same without you. I'm alone. And I'm sure Olivia was there in that moment thinking, I'm alone too. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Rose come back again as a person who can be a source of support for Olivia, someone that Olivia can talk to. So, that maternal figure that frankly Olivia has never really had.
I love that, Janiyah. I would love to see more of Rose and Scandal. I love the fact that you said, maybe we might see Rose return as a sense of in the role of a mother for Olivia.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be great because they share that common bond of her. Rose knows about Olivia because she referred to her as the black lady. And
Right.
Quinn, we remember Quinn in the episode referred today as her. She's the lady who came in looking for Olivia, like, or looking for the black, whatever she said.
Mm-hmm.
We heard the line, the black lady again,
Yes,
in
indeed.
tonight's episode. So I was like, okay, great. Like they're recapping that for folks who may not remember that this was the woman who was looking for her before. I love that. And Dr. Hill 2014, again, you're in sync with us tonight, Dr. Hill 2014. Dr. Hill 2014 says Rose needs to become a gladiator. Hashtag Rose is on the case. She knew
She
it.
was. Yeah, she
Rose was
walked
like
in with those
Rose.
files. Yeah,
Yes,
she
with
had
the
the
file. She,
files.
she had
Yeah,
her serial number to her hip. She had
yeah,
her
she did.
security card. She had everything.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did, LBJ. And you know what? She was not going to rest. LBJ. But imagine this. This had been 3 weeks, LBJ. Imagine how much you agonize when you can't get your loved one on the phone for 2 hours, right? She
Yeah.
has had 3 weeks, LBJ, to concoct plans and to come up with ways, to do all sorts of Google searches, coming up with tactics,
Right.
LBJ, So I was not surprised that she was leaving no stone unturned. But let me tell you, she was on the case. But that relationship, LBJ, I'm interested to see if it turns into more. Deborah Battle in the chat has called out a really kind of significant visual that we had in the show. She says, did you notice that for the whole show, Olivia was in black? But after she told Rose the story about how Lois died, she now had a white trim on her black outfit. LBJ, I love what they do with fashion in this show. I really,
Definitely.
truly do. And I'm so happy Deborah Battle caught that. Because you know what? That was absolutely intentional. Because there was a little glimmer of hope that came with that closure for Rose and for Lois.
It was. It was a little glimmer of hope. And to speak to the costuming of the show, Deborah Battle, you're right. Olivia, I pay attention all the time to what Olivia is wearing, just because
Mm-hmm.
it really what everyone wears, but especially Olivia, because
Yes.
the clothing, the costumes play a role in the script and in the show. And if you notice, when she's on her game, when she's like in it to win it, she's
Mm-hmm.
wearing the white. If
Yes.
something's going wrong with Olivia, if she's not feeling it, if you all watch carefully, she wears like that black and white checkered kind of thing. It's not like all white, it's not all black. It's just like she's a little verklempt that day, so she's wearing something that's not all black or all white, and it's not gray, so she's a little black, a little white. And today we saw her in
Yes.
all the black while she was in mourning, and then she got a glimmer of something, and she went back to the white with a little black trim. So very good observation, Deborah Battle. We love you hanging out with us for the Scandal recap. Remember, folks, if you're watching us, you can always tweet or post on Facebook using our hashtag Scandal Recap, which is right here at the bottom of my screen, and it's at the bottom of Jania's screen right there.
And LBJ, on the topic of fashion, was it just me or was Gabby Abby sharp tonight? I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just that Leo was around, and she was stepping up her game a little bit. But I was impressed with her wardrobe tonight too. But the larger point here is about Gabby and Leo. LBJ, did you know they were still dating?
I was like, huh? When they were in the bed together, and he was like, she's like lotioning her legs before bed. I'm like,
LBJ.
first of all, I was like, who lotions their legs before bed? I said, maybe she got out of the shower and she was like lotioning her
Everyone,
legs or whatever.
everyone does, LBJ. Yeah,
Really?
I don't
I don't.
know what you're doing. Yeah, everyone, you take a shower at night, you lotion up. You do. Most people do. Yeah,
I showered at night, and I don't like when I shower at night. I don't lotion my legs. I just
right.
don't lotion my legs. Sorry, that was random. That was so random. I was like, why is she
It is.
lotioning her legs? And then like he's over there putting his mouth guard in, and he's like ready to go to sleep. And she's like, let me talk about something. He's like, are we gonna do this now? Are we really gonna do this now? And Gabby Abby Red. I didn't pay attention to her fashion tonight, but what I paid attention to was the way that she was bossing up and stepping up to the plate as the
Yes,
gladiator we know her
yes.
to
I
be. And
think
she
all of
began
her.
gladiating, which is a word
Hmm.
that we created here on the
Yes,
Scandal Recap. Gladiating. She was
yes,
gladiating tonight, and I loved every moment of it. From the time of her with her coaching Susan Ross, to her doing the prep, to her rising up and standing up to Leo, like, no, we can't. It can't go down like
mm,
this. All the way to her getting in the face of Olivia Pope herself, like, you need something good. You need to get back on it, and this is how I'm going to help you get back on it because I'm your friend and I love you. I know something bad happened to you, and I don't know all the details that are involved, but I do know that you need this. And so trust me, friend, and go come forth with me, and I'm gonna take you on a ride. I love that.
Now, LBJ, I did not think that Red was, my personal opinion, I didn't think that Red was being a good friend in that moment. I feel like the friend that Olivia needs, and maybe it's Marcus, hashtag bring Marcus back. But, I feel like Olivia needs a friend that is going to say to her, you know what, stop. You're broken right now. Take some time for introspection. But that's not what Gabby Abby Red said. Gabby Abby Red said, you know what? Let's find a distraction for you. Let's move you right back into your old vicious cycles, Olivia Pope. And so I frankly didn't appreciate Gabby reaching out to Olivia at that time. She really pulled Olivia right back into those priorities that she was trying to get away from. LBJ, she actually pulled Olivia back right into that Oval Office that she was trying to get away from. What did you think of that moment?
When that happened, the moment, so everybody who's watching the Scandal recap right now, I'm sure you saw the episode of Scandal that aired tonight. And remember, we're just on an hour after it aired. Let me just say that when that scene came up, it reminded me first of the episode of The Cosby Show when they hosted the Halloween party in the living room, and Cliff and Claire were like kind of at odds, and they were sending Rudy back and forth at the end of the episode. And Rudy, do you remember this? Do you remember this? And Rudy's like, Cliff is like, you tell your mother that she is the most beautiful woman in the world and that I've ever seen. And she was like, he said that you are, and then Claire would be like, you tell him that record show that this, that, and the other. She said the record player is gonna play, and that's what it reminded me of, because you had Olivia in the Oval Office, and she was standing there like in the back, and Gabby Abby Red was like, well, Olivia Pope thinks that this and the other, and Cyrus did like, Olivia says this. Meanwhile, Olivia's like right here, like she's like this painting on the wall right here.
Right.
Like, this is Olivia Pope, and here's Fitz right here, and they're like, yeah, act like Olivia's not here, but she's here. I was like, really, this is the Cosby Show all over again. But then the fact, and everyone knows I'm not a fan of the whole Olivia Fitz relationship and all this other stuff. Like, I'm over it. But the fact that Fitz got in her face,
yeah, he did,
in front of Cyrus and Gabby Abby Red,
yeah, he did.
That was great. Now, I was a fan of that. I was like, he really wants this woman back. And instead of the lip quiver, we got an inhale from Olivia, because she almost lost it again. I love the fact that he confronted her in front of them. He was like, I've got nothing to lose at this point. So we're getting closer. I think we're getting closer to seeing something pop off really between Olivia and Fitz. That's what I felt about that scene.
LBJ, you think we're getting closer to something popping off. I hope that we are getting closer. Again, hashtag bring Marcus back. I hope that we are getting closer to Olivia realizing that this relationship is toxic. And that was actually the confrontation tonight, LBJ. It was Olivia saying to him, hey, guess what? You, Fitz, are ruining Susan Ross's chances of getting accepted by Congress, because you, Fitz, are not liked right now, because you literally made up this whole stupid war with Angola without Congress's support. She literally said to him, and I had to write it down, LBJ, she said, you made a mockery of democracy. And that was the point, LBJ, where Fitz got what? Right here. He got right here. He got right here. And he said, you know why I did it.
Yeah.
And LBJ, that again, cue gasp, cue quiver. And then LBJ, she turned and left. And LBJ, I love that. First of all, she shouldn't have been in there in the first place. She could have absolutely just conference called or Skyped in her contribution. That is my feeling on that. None of this is going to help her move into closure so that she can have a new relationship. Again, hashtag bring Marcus back. But LBJ, I hope that, LBJ, she really does take a break from Fitz and that they are not moving closer.
Really, Janaya? I'm
I do.
surprised. I'm very surprised by that. I'm very surprised. FYI, Marcus, that you keep hearing Janaya say hashtag bring Marcus back. She's referring to
Please.
Marcus Walker, the potential new gladiator that we met last week in the
Your
lawn chair
husband, potential
episode.
husband. Yes,
Janaya is so smitten with the fact that
I
with
am.
the idea of Marcus and Janaya and Marcus and Olivia getting together.
You're
Maybe
not wrong. You're not wrong in either scenario. You're not wrong. I'm fine with both. Either one. Either one. But it's got to be one or the other. I won't take a third. It's got to be one or the other.
It's so funny. That's so funny. Candace Brown in the Q&A, we were talking about Gabby Abby Red on the crew. Candace says Olivia's entire crew is broken, so they can't help her. She is usually the one helping them.
Ooh.
She rescued most of them.
Yes.
So that's another point, while we're talking about Gabby Abby Red,
Mm-hmm.
the one that you hate and the one I love, we would know about that. We already know about Huck, and we know about, gosh, what was Columbus's name? I'm drawing a blank tonight, everybody. Harrison's role.
Harrison.
And and Steven wanted to even come back and thank her. So yeah, Shonda, everybody's broken and they need help. It's like a hospital, OPA.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's so true, LBJ. It is a hospital. But you know what? I will just say this. Even the most selfish, independent person, I would hope, would step away for a moment when a friend has been through something traumatic. So again, it's like, Gabby Abby, at least if you don't have the equipment to, help her, at least give her some space. I mean, geez Louise.
Give her some space. Give her back. Give her 50 feet. Give her 50 feet. Give her 50 feet. Back.
Please.
So can we talk about two things that were awesome to me in the show tonight? I love to listen to the music in the show. And we had the Scandal Jam session, not once, but twice. The first Scandal Jam session was She's a Bad Mama Jamma. That was the first one as we were watching not Rose. Get it right, Larry. Get it right. We were watching Susan.
Oh gosh.
I'm telling you. So here's what happened.
You were in the hole for a minute there.
Oh yeah, I was in the hole. Yeah, I was in the hole. My hole tonight was the gym. I was in the gym. Everybody, yes. Please forgive me. I was in the gym. I'm sore as I don't know what right now, and I literally ran home. Well, I rushed home from the gym. I walked home from the gym, and then got in here, started playing Scandal on DVR. So I feel like my whole evening is like rushed. So please bear with me tonight. I should just turn everything over to tonight. You just start talking and take over everything. Anyway. Mama Jamma was Scandal Jam session number 1 in the episode when Susan was going back and she went on her whole press tour to kind of fix the whole laughing matter. I love the way they strategized.
Yes.
And then the second Scandal Jam session that we saw was Ooh Child by the 5 Stair Step. God, they always try to get you at the end of these episodes these days with Scandal with the heart tugging moment.
Yes.
And we saw things are going to get better. The theme of things are going to get better. And, Rose had her closure. We saw what happened with Huck and his family. We have to talk about that next.
Yeah, we do.
And we also saw just all these things kind of coming together or having some kind of glimmer of hope. Things. We saw people touched in different ways. I thought that was great. And I love the use of music throughout the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And LBJ, you've now opened up the can of worms, so we got to get in there. Huck. OMG. LBJ.
Yeah.
Here's what I have to say about this, LBJ. Mind blown. Now, one of the storylines we've been wanting to get back to is whatever happened to Huck's wife. We know that she did not appreciate Huck trying to be in her life. We know that Huck's desperate attempt to connect with her, what he did, LBJ, he handed over the B613 files and said, believe me, I didn't leave you by choice. LBJ, she cast him away, which led Huck into a secret relationship with his son, Hobby. Yes. LBJ, only for us to come full circle tonight to realize that not only has Huck's wife, Kim, come around, she is fighting for justice.
Yeah, she's fighting. Kim is fighting for justice, but she's kind of getting on my nerves out the gate. Like, out of all this boss stuff she was doing to begin with, Janaya, Kim is now in a role of like, no, tell him, come on, tell him. And she's a little annoying to me right now. And I'm like, man, take your husband. Like, this man delivered this stuff to you so you would bring him back, and so that he could be one with you, and one with his son. That's all he's asking. He did not ask you to do this. What are you doing this for? If you knew that, Janai, you tell me this. If your husband came to you and was like, "Hey, my name is Huck, and I've been away for all this time, and I'm a little off, and you think that I'm off, and here's what I'm going to tell you I'm off," are you going to go to the United States government, the Attorney General, and say, "My husband delivered these files to me and said this was what happened to him. We need justice"? Would you really do that, Janaya?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would, LBJ. And here's what I would say. I would say, Marcus, now you know we need to go to the Attorney General and really report this and get justice. That's what I would say. And I would say, you know what? You can't see right now that this is the right thing to do because you're still brainwashed. B613 has got you with the heebie-jeebies. LBJ, what she is doing, frankly, LBJ, is what a lot of people would do in this situation. They would say, loved one, you can't see the truth right now because of the context. Your frame for the world right now is skewed. Let me be the logic for you. I completely understand her perspective on this, LBJ, because, LBJ, can you imagine what she saw in those binders? LBJ? I mean,
which is more of a reason for her to keep her mouth shut, though. She should have kept her mouth shut and said nothing, if you ask me. Like, you read some stuff that was juicier and hotter, juicier than the best Michigan cherry you've ever had, and hotter than the hottest cup of tea you've ever had.
well, that's pretty hot, LBJ.
Hot and juicy.
Because I've had some hot tea, let me tell you. LBJ, let me just say this. I completely understood where she was coming from. You know, I will say, though, I felt like she was a little hot and cold. I mean, I don't think going to the Attorney General would be my first step. I think I probably would talk to Marcus about it first. I would be like, okay, husband, you know what? I'd be like, okay, husband, you know what? We need to really, I believe you now, number one, so I will no longer ban you from our house. But number two, we need to take some action. I would have talked to my spouse first, but LBJ, I don't think she's wrong.
Well, let me just say this. First of all, Zoe Emil is hanging out with us tonight. Hey, Zoe Emil, welcome back. We've missed you.
Hey, Zoe.
And Zoe says, I love that Janaya and Marcus are married now. I'm hoping everybody else is picking up on the fact that Janaya is now married to Marcus Walker from Scandal. But and then we've also got Ebony Johnson Cooper hanging out. Ebony Johnson Cooper says, listen, this 11 p.m. recap got a sister missing recaps. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord for this fallback hour, though. I'm here. Emoji praise hands. You know, the emoji praise hands that are like this. Praise hands. So, Ebony Johnson Cooper, we are so glad you are here with us tonight. But Ebony Johnson Cooper brings up a point that I like to submit to everyone. And she says, anyone else think Huck was going to kill his wife? I thought he was going to take her head off after that kiss. Listen, emoji, monkey, hides face. That's this emoji here. But no, seriously. So I was thinking the same thing, Ebony. I'm like, okay, he said that he chose Olivia, so does this mean that he is going to now kill his wife? Mm-hmm. Or does this mean that he's going to take her and run away somewhere and then they just never come back? I didn't know what that meant. I thought that she could be in danger. But then I said to myself, Janaya Wright from the Scandal recap, so I know her predictions like I know her predictions. Janaya predicted several episodes ago that we would find out about Huck's situation with his family. So kudos to you, Janaya.
Yes.
Predicting that several episodes ago. Which episode it was, I don't know. I don't have a
It was a while. It was a while ago.
Right, but you said that, Janaya. And so I think that there's more to be seen, Ebony, when it comes to Huck and his wife and his son. Now, after tonight's episode, we know that there's going to be some stuff that pops off, something that happens, because what David Rosen told Jake, he's like, we got to go get the bad guys. We got to get the bad guys. Why? Because he's had a stenographer in the office taking the entire transcript of the testimony. He's heard the testimony. The wife has heard the testimony, and she's read actual files from B613. So they've got to pin it on someone. Who that will be, I don't know. But as he saw at the end of the episode, Huck is looking over his shoulder. He's looking over his shoulder.
Yeah, he is, because LBJ, we know the answer to who they're going to pin it on. It's command, LBJ. And
I said the same thing.
We now know how, Papa Pope is going to make his way back into this show. because we're now peeling back the onion, lifting up the covers, digging through the scabs of B613. And you know who's lurking there under that scab, LBJ, right in the pus? Oh, LBJ, it's Command. And he's coming back. And LBJ, here's the craziest thing about all of this. The conundrum that David Rosen is in.
Yes.
You know, this woman comes to him. Meanwhile, David Rosen sitting in his office. He's dealing with wackadoos day in, day out, coming to him, reporting, you know, aliens and whatnot, and this and that and the other thing. And this woman comes in, LBJ, with this set of B613 documents that he himself personally held in his hands, cross-referenced, color-coded, LBJ. She hands him the files. He then runs, LBJ, runs to Jake and Huck. And he says, a woman has come into my office. She has B613 files, very real files, the files, only to find out that it is Huck's wife, LBJ. So not only is David Rosen torn because he is the Attorney General and B613 should be taken down, Huck is someone who he is in allegiance with, right? So these files implicate Huck. And guess what else these files do? They implicate him. There's a point in the episode where David is talking with Jake about the fact that Huck has gone from wanting to keep the secrets of B613 to letting the cat right him out of the bag, where Jake says, you know what, David Rosen? We're the bad guys too, not just the people in those binders. Mm-hmm. And David Rosen says, not anymore. So LBJ, anyway, so I was just in my mind so, you know, overwhelmed at what David Rosen must be experiencing in this moment.
Yeah, David Rosen definitely experienced a lot in that moment, but I want to take a step back. I mean, and it was visible that he experienced a lot through the testimony of Mr. Munoz. But let's Diego Munoz.
Yeah.
Yolanda Baker sent a note, and she said, "What the heck was Huck thinking, giving those documents to his wife? Now he has to hand it. Now he has to hand it, but it's probably not like he has to handle is what she's trying to say." Anyway, I think that we know, Yolanda, that Huck gave those documents to his wife so that he could get in with his family, but never did he think that he'd be sitting in front of the Attorney General of the United States of America giving what I call the whole monologue, Janaya.
Yes.
That whole monologue was everything tonight. Like the way the way that he peeled back the layers and just took us on a ride of resistance, on a ride of pride, then on a ride of survival. Then he took us on a ride of emotion because he began to connect it with the flashbacks. I mean, remember, there was the flashbacks that caused him to really give in and to talk about the good. I mean, to think about the good of his family, to connect and tell what really happened. And actually, I tweeted Guillermo Diaz, the actor who plays Huck on Scandal. And I told him, I said, hey, man, look, I said, the whole monologue was amazing. Great everything tonight, like great acting, great blah, 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 blah. And that's what about everything meant. And he actually looked there, he tweeted back, and he's like, thank you, Larry, couldn't have done it without the director. And Jessica Nicole, Jocelyn, EXO, to everybody. So again, great job with the whole monologue tonight. I loved it, the entire monologue.
LBJ, it was so well done. It was so good, LBJ. I mean, frankly, what made it so good was not only the content of the speech, of him kind of telling us what it takes to survive in a hole for 165 days, LBJ. Not only that, not only in his delivery, the masterful delivery, this actor sharing this story, amazing. But LBJ, this was also our first time seeing one of the people in OPA truly forsaking Olivia.
Yes.
Right? He said earlier that in choosing to keep B613 quiet, he was choosing Liv. And now LBJ, he sat there, LBJ, and he chose his wife. He chose Kim over Olivia. And LBJ, this is huge.
It is.
This, frankly, could be the beginning of the end.
So while watching it with Candace, she said the same thing. She said, "Is this going to be the last season when it's all said and done?" Mm-hmm. Because we know that if this happens, like everything is going to implode. It's going to be humongous. It's going to be major. We don't know what's going to happen. I think that there's going to be like an all-out internal war this is one of my predictions: an all-out internal war with
Mm-hmm.
Daddy Pope, Mama Pope, Olivia Pope, Huck, Jake, Fitz, and David Rosen, and Quinn's gonna have to hold it together. Quinn's gonna have to
Yes.
keep everything together. She's gonna end up running it when it's all said and done, Janaya. You gotta bite that bullet and you can
Yeah.
deal with that. Or maybe Marcus will show up and he can come in and help take over too. It all
Yeah.
remains to be seen. Can I just say that I love though how we got a new term? Shonda is good for dropping terms in her shows that we can use. Grey's Anatomy had the JJ.
Mm-hmm.
We also heard on Scandal. We heard the Pope. Did we just get Pope? Did we hear that on Scandal? Was that us who made that up? Am I making something up in my head?
They definitely said it on Scandal. And I
That's
will
what I
just say
thought.
the JJ actually was started by Oprah. So just wanted to clarify
No,
that. I
Oprah.
think Oprah was the first person.
No, Oprah got it from Shonda Rhimes. Oprah got it from Shonda Rhimes because remember that
Did
was in the era.
she?
Yeah, that was in the era of Grey's Anatomy, early Shonda Rhimes days, where they had
Got
like the
it.
whole Dr. McDreamy character there, and they mentioned I think it was the character Bailey who said something about, and she's the one. She's always with the attitude. You go something something something. She goes something something for JJ, and that's where the whole JJ thing came from. And
No,
Oprah,
I
like
didn't
everybody
know
took on
that.
to the JJ, and so
Got it.
tonight Quinn told Huck, she's like, you've been acting all hucky. So I issue a
Yes.
challenge to everyone in this Scandal recap. You have to, by next Thursday Scandal recap, you have to use the term hucky to someone you know, and we want to hear that you use the term hucky to someone. That's the challenge I'm issuing to everyone. I don't have a prize for you right now, but that's the challenge I'm issuing to folks.
Well, LBJ, I accept that challenge and I'm already going to win because you were quite hucky at the beginning of this chat. I mean, your memory was failing you miserably. We couldn't understand what you were talking about. You weren't quite getting the words out. So, LBJ, I accept your challenge and challenge already defeated. You're welcome.
Wait,
You
I wasn't
said,
getting my words out. Was I too excited? Like, were you not able to understand what I said?
no, I said LB. Well, I think you were just perhaps, maybe again, was it the hole? Was it the gym that had you just slightly thrown off? We don't know the answer to what happened. But LBJ, we struggled for the first 30 or 60 seconds. We did. It's just a fact.
Whatever. Anyway. anyway. So, do you have any predictions from tonight's episode of Scandal tonight before we round up?
LBJ, you know what? I have a couple. Number one, and you know me, I generally love to raise questions a little bit more than I like to make predictions. But I will say this, LBJ. I think that this dig into B613 is going to be the reason why we see Papa Pope again.
Hmm.
I also think, LBJ, that Rose is going to come back in some sort of form as it relates to Olivia. I mean, we all know that we're looking to the left and the right for Olivia to have someone that she can talk to. Why not Rose? Why not someone who has just experienced a great loss? LBJ, I'm also looking forward to Olivia and Gabby Abby Red actually going back to some kind of actual relationship. Gabby Abby Red basically placed a challenge to Olivia tonight where she basically said, don't shut me out. Let's try to get back to where we were. So LBJ, I think we're also going to see Olivia facing more traumas related to this PTSD. I think we're going to see it play out more and more. And LBJ, I would not be surprised if she accidentally shoots someone. I mean, you're running around with a gun in your hand all the time. One little, accidental press of that trigger, and you can take somebody out or injure somebody. So that'll be an interesting twist as well.
Those are
What about
great.
you,
Those are great.
LBJ?
Those are great predictions. I love that. I really love
Mm-hmm.
the fact that Olivia could potentially. She's bearing
She
an arm right
could.
now. She could brandish and she could also fire that weapon. And
Mm-hmm.
might she fire the weapon at her father? Might she finish what she tried to start?
Whoa!
That's what I was led to believe.
Mm.
That's one of my predictions. I think again, Olivia, you hit two of the ones that I have. So the
Mm-hmm.
first with the first one is with Olivia and her having this gun. We kept seeing the gun this episode. That was not just unintentional. We intentionally saw
Right.
her with the gun, and we will see her with a gun again in this season. I believe. I also think that we are going to see the return of Daddy Pope soon and very soon. It won't be him fishing at the lake. It's going to be Daddy Pope in
No.
action. It's going to
Uh-huh.
be Rowan in his full command power is in control mode, and he's going to come back with a vengeance. And I think that there might be the potential of Rowan and Maya teaming up for something. I don't know what that something's going to be, but
I
something
think you're
tells
right.
me that Rowan and Maya are going to team up. And they're going to have to be mommy and daddy for Olivia or be mommy and daddy to, hash it out one more time. They could be teaming up for good, for bad, but we will see them together. It won't be like the Maya sitting chained to the thing like,
Mm-hmm.
hi,
Yeah.
baby. It won't be that. It's gonna be more of a we got to get this. We got to get that one to beat
Yes.
down, or it's gonna be the clashing of the titans, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're going to see. I also think that there's going to be some normalcy restored to OPA. I think maybe
Mm.
Gabby Abby Red will rekindle with Olivia and take a step away. I think I said this in another recap. I think by the end of the season, we're going to see Gabby Abby Red returning to OPA to kind
Wow.
of round things out for this term
Mm.
of President Fitzgerald. I also think that we're going to we're potentially going to see Huck lose his wife. I think that she's back and she's here now, but Daddy Pope or Maya Pope is going to take her out, and that will probably be a reason for Huck to just lose everything and go back to
Oh.
that
Oh
Quinn
my
told him
gosh.
to hide. So those are my predictions right now. If
That's
I've
good,
got more,
LBJ.
I'll keep them or share them here in the Scandal recap.
That's good, OBJ. And you reminded me of two other things. And these are again, I hesitate to make them predictions because they're just they're ponderances more than anything else. LBJ, we didn't see Huck's son Hobby deal with any of this. I mean, he
No,
was skipping around dinner tonight as if he didn't see his father kill a person. So I
right?
think we're going to see that relationship have to go through a little something. And LBJ, if it's in the context of some of what you've just described, that father son relationship is really going to go through something. The other relationship I think will be rekindled to some degree, LBJ, is Melly and Fitz. I gotta say, they have a rhythm going right now and a comfort in their communication and in their interactions, LBJ, that is a little familiar. It seems a lot like day one. So
I don't
anyway, I think
know. Yeah, it seems like a lot like day one, but it also seems like it could be a house of cards. One
mm,
blow of the wind and it's falling.
it's so true. So true, LBJ. Oh, juiciness ahead.
It is. It remains to be seen, and we are here for every moment of it. And you know what else we're here for? We're here for this round robin before we
Yes.
close out. And let me just
Woo-hoo.
start with Zoe email out the gate. Zoe, okay, you're the only one in the Q&A who said this, but I received the fact that I'm a little weird and I don't do this. And if it's a normal thing that people do in America and in the world, so be it. But Zoe Mills like, LOL. I lotion up at night, LBJ. So congratulations to you, Zoe Mill, for lotion up. I don't lotion up at night. I have ashy legs at nighttime. Boom. Thank you.
Yeah. Hashtag dry skin. Zoe Mill also said she's not sure if Olivia is ready for introspection. You have to be ready to embrace the process. It's so true. It's so true. I tell you though, a good friend says this is your challenge. But you're right. Is she ready? Has she ever thought that carefully to herself? I mean, clearly the answer is no.
Yeah, Candace Brown is in the Q&A, and she says, "How about the fact that Jake didn't even know Huck's real name was Diego? LOL. I would think the B613 team would know that. I don't know, Candace. I don't know if the B613 team would know that simply because it was so siloed, and
Yes.
everyone had a role that they had to play throughout everything. So I don't know if that's something that they would really know.
Yes, yes. And also they had to keep their aliases, right? Because that was part of the thing. They were shedding their old identities. You'll recall Huck couldn't even remember his own name at some point earlier on in the show. I mean, he couldn't even remember his old identity. You know, Candace Brown also said, and it's a headline in Olivia. Olivia has only had toxic relationships in her life. She needs a man with a white hat to show her another way. Fitz or nor Jake own white hats. And it is 100% true. Does anyone know of any character that we've met that does wear a white hat? Can anyone think of one? Oh, that's right. Oh, it's Marcus. It is. Had to be said.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Wait a second. Ebony Johnson Cooper. Okay, you get a pass right now. She says, I'm cheating. President Obama's on Jimmy Kimmel right now. I'm cheating. That means she's cheating on us with Jimmy Kimmel. She's competing. You can watch us for the president, Ebony Johnson Cooper. I'll allow you that.
Right, right. That yeah, for the real president, we'll take that over discussion of the fake president. Zoe Mills said LBJ's Maya Marie impression just gave me so much life. LOL. He says you're so good. Can you give us just a 1 second? Give us a little snippet because it's so good. Give us a little Maya
Okay,
poetry.
okay,
Just
okay.
it's so
Wait. All right. Here's wait. Let me chain one hand. These are my hands on the table. And hi, Livy.
good.
Hi. Get yourself together. What are you doing? And that's all I got. That's all I got.
It's so good. So good. And LBJ.
Dr. Hill 2014. Speaking of impersonations, Dr. Hill 2014 clearly liked my analogy with the Cosby Show and the Oval Office. Great analogy of the Cosby Show
So
and the
good.
Oval Office. Thank you so much, Dr. Hill.
So good. And LBJ, you were trying to remember the name of the actor that plays Leo. And Candace Brown in the chat remembered his name is Paul Adelstein. Adelstein. Is that the name you were trying to think of, LBJ?
That is him. Yes, that is the doctor from Private Practice that now plays Leo on
Yes.
Scandal. That is
Yes.
it. Oh, Janiyah, look, Dr. Hill. You gave Dr. Hill a little something too. Janiyah, Dr. Hill says, Janiyah gave me, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's so horrible. It's the worst.
Dr. Hill 2014 is back again. Guillermo Diaz and Courtney B. Vance should both receive Emmy Awards. I agree. I agree. They definitely
So
deserve
true.
one
I
receiving that.
agree 100%. So good. And Zoe Mill, now my best friend, says she liked Marcus too. Thank you, Zoe Mill. He's so good. And Dr. Hill 2014 also gives us another little insight on Olivia. Olivia is a fixer, just not in her own life. Hashtag Olivia needs to fix her life. She really, truly needs some time. She needs to step away from all of this and really think, what does it take? What is happiness? Have I ever been there? How can I get there? What is fulfillment? She needs to fix her life.
That's so great, Janiyah. Talking about life and fixing. Do you have any takeaways tonight?
I actually do have one takeaway, LBJ, and it is a reflection on Susan Ross. LBJ, the question I pose to all of us is, do you fake it till you make it?
Oh,
And LBJ, it is something that we're all so comfortable doing. We're all so comfortable, LBJ, just doing what it takes to get to the point, right? But LBJ, those trade-offs, is it worth it? LBJ, I respected Susan Ross so much for acknowledging when she had reached her limit, when she became so disenchanted that she had to throw her hands up in the air. A lot of us, LBJ, would have talked ourselves into going with the flow to try to get to point B. Susan Ross said, no, not at all. And I thanked her. I thank Shonda for raising this. And it's a question we all need to ponder, LBJ. Do you fake it till you make it?
mm.
And if you have faked it, did you really make it? Something to think about.
Snap, 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 snap,
You're
snaps
welcome.
to you, Janiyah. Snaps to you. Very good
Yes.
job. My takeaway tonight is
Mm-hmm.
simply do not be afraid to make game time decisions. Not be afraid
Mm.
to make game time decisions. So many times in life, we plan and we plan and we plan and we process things in our mind. We process them on paper. We just process them out so that we can be ready and be prepared for different things. But there will come a time, and there will be times in our life that we have to make a game time decision. And these
Mm.
game time decisions most likely will come at a very pivotal phase in our life, and those decisions will make they will kind of reposition us or repurpose some of the things that we've been dealing with. And
Wow.
tonight in Scandal, we saw Huck make a game time decision. And he was originally scared of this game time decision. But what he did is my advice to all of you. Trust your gut. Trust your
Mm.
spirit. Trust that voice that's inside of you. Trust that quietness. Trust in your quietness, that voice that you hear, which is most
Mm.
likely God speaking to you. And that pushes you to make that game time decision and trust that it will be for the best. I don't know what's going to happen
Wow.
with Huck and Kim, but I do know in our life when we make these game time decisions, you can bet your bottom dollar that if you're listening to that still small voice that's inside of you, it will be for the best. So don't be scared to make game time
Mm.
decisions. In other words, take a step out on faith, folks. That's my
Wow.
takeaway tonight.
LBJ, you just took us all away with that. That was so good. That's a perfect note to end the show on.
Well, thank you so much. I am glad to spend this time with you, Janaya, and I'm glad to spend this time with you, everyone who is watching us live and who will watch us after the Scandal recap. Folks, don't forget to share the YouTube link with your friends, post it on your Facebook page, share it on Twitter, get the West Coast talking about Twitter. They should be done watching the Scandal in about 55 minutes. So what normally happens is we'll post this episode, and then they'll start making their comments on YouTube and posting and sending tweets and things like that to us. We appreciate all of you for watching and for participating. Until next week, I am Larry Brown Jr. You can follow me at, where is it, right here, at Larry Brown Jr. And then this is Janaya. You point. Let's see if you can point to your name.
Okay, I'm Janaya Wright. You can follow me at the Janaya Wright. Did I get it?
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
This was so much fun, everybody. I just love doing this every week. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye-bye now. We'll see you.